What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and continue learning about things Brits love about America. Part 2. If you have not seen Part 1, feel free to check that out or stay right here in Part 2. That's perfectly fine as well. But in Part 1, these two Brits started talking about some of the things they love about America, and I have been thoroughly enjoying myself. Some of the things they've mentioned here, honestly, are things that I haven't even appreciated or stopped and thought about for a long time as an American. I think a lot of these things are just kind of normal, but this is really making me appreciate some of the stuff here. I'm loving it. In part 1, they were talking about a couple of things like portion sizes. Portion sizes here in America are ridiculous. As Americans, we kind of get used to it. We just think it's kind of normal. As a matter of fact, if we went somewhere else around the world, we'd probably complain and be like, this is so tiny. But it would actually just be normal. Because, and here, it's weird. Everything's big, and I love it, and I appreciate it now that I'm thinking about it. I could never go back. I could never do it any other way. So it's kind of funny hearing these things from the British point of view that are really cool about America, that are just like normal. Unhealthy for us, but normal. They were also talking about in part 1, Americans maybe being more friendly or more open, more willing to talk and blab, and I wouldn't know anything about that. They were also talking about house sizes. They seem to think that houses are in general a bit bigger here in America. I wouldn't actually know if that's true or not, but you know, I don't have any complaints, especially listening to what they're saying about houses being bigger and more open here. That's fantastic, and it's definitely something we should appreciate more here. And they also talked about entertainment in America, just being a bigger entertainment industry and maybe more things and stuff coming out of America, which is definitely something Americans like myself don't really think about. It's just like normal, but we really should appreciate it, that there is a big, Hollywood entertainment industry here, lots of stuff to watch. That's great. So I'm actually quite excited to continue the rest of this video and hear about more things. Oftentimes, I see a lot of stuff on the internet that's kind of, what are some negative things about America? So this is kind of a nice change of pace. A lot of positive things that Brits love about America. It's been delightful. So let's take a look.
The next thing that we really love is cheap transport. Now I know flying is quite expensive, but in terms of like the trains or any metro or tube subway systems that you have, like
this is kind of a funny one. I never think about this, not because it's not true. It's just because most Americans, the vast majority of Americans, don't use public transport. We all have to own cars. That's how most of America is set up and designed, with the idea that you're going to own a car in mind. So I guess maybe they're talking about sort of major American cities where there are subways and trains and like people use public transport and buses more. That's not the case for most of smaller cities, smaller towns in America. Americans really, really love to just own cars. We don't walk anywhere. We're a bit lazy. That's another thing about us. So this is kind of a funny one to hear from a British point of view, because I think a lot of Americans don't even know this.
our subway system, the London Tube, the Underground.
The Tube?
Tube is so expensive. It's, I think, the most expensive one in the world.
Is it?
But New York is like super cheap by comparison.
Let us know how much it is in the comments.
So he's literally comparing London to New York, which, you know, London doesn't represent all of Britain and New York doesn't represent all of America, but I understand the comparison he's making.
For like a weekly unlimited pass around the centre, like, because in zone 1 and 2 in London, I pay £34 weekly for zone 1 and 2. Yeah. And I use it every day.
Well, I don't exactly know what they're talking about, zones and pounds, but even thinking about it as like $30, 34 pounds, that's a lot. To be a week? Wait, like 120 a month? That's like more than a subscription to a lot of things, like a phone bill or an internet bill or heating for some people. Like, that's an insane amount of money. Wait, what? Okay. Yeah. I didn't know London was known for having outrageous public transportation costs, but that's outrageous.
Day. So essentially, if you're leaving the house more than 5 times a week, you get like 1 day for free.
Yeah.
But it's still really expensive.
Yeah.
It is really expensive. Like a single journey will cost you about £3, no matter how many stops you
£4.50,
go.
isn't it?
Oh, is it even more now?
Yeah, a single on the underground is like £4.50,
Oh wow,
isn't it?
it's ridiculous.
A single journey, like from point A to point B, is £4. That is crazy. Maybe I think they're talking about London for the most part, and I guess I'm not shocked that that's an expensive cost of living, but it is expensive, man. Wow.
Yeah, it's so expensive.
Yeah.
So, and it's only getting more and more. So we
Wow.
can't wait for that to. They keep promising like frozen prices, but it never
doesn't
happens.
happen.
Yeah, and it's like when you live in the city, you need public transport. It's not optional, so you're kind of at the mercy of whatever the prices are, which is kind of scary.
Just keeps going up and up and up.
Yeah.
And talking about flights, I know Americans have said that flights are expensive. Some of you have told us in the comments, but
Sure.
that's not been my experience. I just booked a flight from New York to Florida, and that
Okay.
cost like £60, which is ridiculously cheap because
Wait a minute. New York to Florida for £60? Call it $60. I've never heard of that. Like at best, flights in the US, like from cities across the US, I could see like a couple $100. I mean, I guess I haven't checked recently. New York to Florida for 60? That's insane. That's a good price.
how much have you paid to go
Yeah,
to
so
Scotland?
like domestic flights sort of within a country from here to Edinburgh, it's been like 250, which is ridiculous.
Which is the same price that I've paid from the UK to New York.
Yeah, just because it's like
Really?
a British Airways
You can fly from the UK to New York for $200? That's shocking to me too.
flight, but it's just the only one. It's ridiculous.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So it is so cheap. It might not be a cheap to Americans because you've not got this to compare it to, but for Brits, like your transport is so cheap and it's
within
great.
like
Okay. Let me look up an example. Let me get to the bottom of this. Okay, here we go. Supposing you wanted to fly from New York to Miami, Florida, sometime in January, and this can all change depending on if you're flying in the holiday season or not. It'll be a lot more expensive. But just, random time in January, you can get like, well, man, I'm shocked. You can get $59. Or 74. That's Spirit. Okay, these are like, I guess it depends on what airline you're willing to use. I've heard some questionable things about Spirit Airline. I mean, the thing flies and gets you where you need to go, so I didn't know that. Airfare in the US is pretty cheap. You can get to New York to Miami, Florida for $74. If you take American Airlines, like a well-known, sort of a more well-known airline, more prestigious, it's like $150. Like that's more of what I was expecting, but gosh, I gotta say, I'm impressed by this as well. They were right.
domestically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So well done.
Congrats, America.
Okay, the next one might be a little bit controversial, but I actually really love the American accent.
Yeah. Well,
Some people find it annoying.
Oh, wow, I've never heard this one. I'm so glad that this is the ones they're bringing up. I would love to hear about this because here in America, it's always about how much we love the British accent. Americans love the British accent. It sounds fancy and cool and makes you sound all suave and intelligent and sophisticated. And I've always wondered, what about the reverse? What do Brits think about the American accent? This is something I can't possibly experience or comprehend on my own because I just hear the American accent as an American accent. I don't know what people think about it. So I'm actually really curious about this. They think it sounds nice. They think it's kind of cool. Especially when I sound like that. They think it's kind of cool. That sounds wonderful, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But I love it.
I love it. I especially love the southern drawl accents. Like the southern twang. I just love all of those southern states.
The Southern American accent, that's funny. It's a bit polarizing. Some Americans make fun of it and thinks it makes you sound like uncultured, uneducated, like, howdy, y'all. How you all doing today? It's great to see you. Oh, why don't y'all come in for a little bite of my cherry pie? You know, it's very warm and welcoming. I actually, myself, I like it as well. And those kind of people do tend to be quite warm and welcoming Americans. So, but some Americans don't like it, actually. So it's cool that they do.
Like Texas.
From Texas, like Tennessee, or like South Carolina. Like I just love the like lilt.
Oh, the lilt!
Oh,
He loves it!
Oh,
So they actually like the Southern American accent. Not necessarily the standard American accent, I guess, which is what most Americans would kind of have. Is that considered annoying or just whatever? I think Brits are exposed to the American accent a lot more growing up because of TV and movies and stuff, American entertainment. So I think the American accent loses its mystique. It loses its novelty to a lot of Brits if you're just hearing it a lot. Whereas Americans don't always hear the British accent as much. So it's like, it's still fresh and cool and like, whoa, are you British? Is that a British accent? What? Say something.
love it.
Does it make you moan? No, I'm joking.
Oh my God. I think most Brits would probably not like the accent.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
know.
Like it.
It depends, like,
That's what I was afraid of. I'm willing to accept neutrality, just like American accent is whatever. But they're saying it's negative. It's like a lot of Brits don't like the American accent. I wonder why that is. Is it just like a bit harsh or something?
because I've got American friends and
Yeah.
I do enjoy hearing their voice.
Yeah.
Maybe that's personal to them, but like
Yeah.
And also when we Skype with like we've got an American patron, and I just really enjoy listening to
Yeah,
that.
me too. It's like soothing. Yeah, I think listening to Brits is quite like exhausting.
Yeah, it is.
Listening to Americans, you can.
Exhausting. Listening to Brits is exhausting. That's funny. To Americans, it's just interesting, and most British accents are quite enjoyable, kind of soothing, and interesting. And the words kind of flow a little bit better. A little more connected in a way, I feel like. Like it's literally a bit more soothing on the ears.
And just like gently drop off.
Yeah, especially if they're not too loud.
Yeah, you just. I think that's the thing that Brits don't like.
Volume.
Is volume.
Oh.
We like quiet. So I think
Oh.
Americans. My voice coach used to say that that's why you can hear Americans on the tube when they're right down the other end of the carriage. Because not because they're being loud, but because they've got such a big space in their mouth, like a cavity. Whereas we are very like tight and close, but for Americans it's like.
So they, what is that? Hello, I'm riding. You have to be soothing. If you're an American, you have to be softer and soothing. Hello, everyone. I'm just riding the tube here. Everyone's head would just snap around and see me if I was riding the tube, talking more gentle. Is this what he wants?
It carries.
It really carries. As soon as I hear them on the tube, I'm like, oh,
Wow.
I need to tell you about my YouTube channel. I honestly saw a flood of them the other day.
Flood of them.
There was so many of them going down the escalator, perfect for our
Pack of
channel.
Americans, wow.
So about 40, 50 of them, and they had a tour guide who had a wand, a Harry Potter wand,
Yeah.
and they were all just
Oh my god, it's funny hearing about Brits spotting Americans somehow. I guess especially if you're in London, you're gonna encounter a lot of tourists, American tourists, people from all over the world, honestly.
chatting away, and then I could hear all their accents, and I was thinking,
Gorgeous.
gorgeous, and I'd just come from the YouTube
Wow.
Space London, and I was thinking, if only they knew about Joel and Leah.
Yeah.
So these two enjoy the American accent. A lot of Brits do not. So, I mean, that's perfectly fine. It's all just like whatever. Personal preference, it is what it is. You enjoy what you enjoy.
They would love it.
They'd love it.
Or they might hate it.
Oh, they'd hate it. Either way, great.
So the last one is something that I'm really envious of, is the guaranteed weather in America.
Oh.
Yeah, so what we were saying when we planned this video is...
Yes. This is a great one. Maybe one of the best that they've mentioned. This is something Americans do not think about. We take it for granted. We think it's just normal, and it's so awesome. You can basically pick where you can choose what climate you want to live in based on where in America you want to live. You can live somewhere that's a little colder, somewhere that's consistently kind of mild. You can live like in California or Florida or Texas and be like warm all year round. America is so big. You can literally choose what kind of climate that you want to exist in, what kind of temperature you want, mild or extreme, it's pretty awesome. And I think as a whole, the United States happens to be in an area of the planet where the US has a pretty, mild, predictable seasonality that's very, 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 not that extreme. It's actually quite nice. A lot of Americans don't even realize that other parts of the world deal with more rain or more extreme winters or longer winters or less sunlight or more darkness and all that stuff. We don't even really appreciate what we've got.
Was that you can go to certain areas and you're going to get sun, you're going to get snow if you want to ski, if you want to sunbathe, and that's just something we can't get here.
No.
Right.
For example, today in London, in England, it's snowing. Yesterday was a beautiful day.
Bright, sunny,
I didn't wear a jacket yesterday.
No, it was warm. I was sweating yesterday.
That's something you don't get here, is that extreme swing in temperature. It went from snowing to you're sweating. It's so hot. That's possible?
He's sweating
I
yesterday.
was sweating, and today I'm shivering because it's snowing all day.
Oh my God.
I can't believe how quickly it can change.
Yeah.
I came back home, looked at the temperature, I was like, right, it's going to freeze overnight, it's going to drop.
Yeah.
How is this happening?
Wow.
And I know that can happen in other places in America, but for example, the snow doesn't tend to lay on the floor, it just melts straight away, and it's like, great, what use is that? Snow that doesn't settle.
Oh yeah, Joel's really passionate about snow.
I love snow.
He loves it.
Yeah, they're absolutely right. You can literally choose if you want to go somewhere in the US where you can ski and snowboard if you go to the north, or you can be sweating all the time in the south. It's pretty great. I don't actually know personally if there is any difference. I'm sure there's some small differences between the regions of Britain as far as temperature and climate goes, right? Just not as much as in the United States.
So I want to move somewhere like New York. That would be a better city for me than London because in winter it snows and it's really cold. In summer it's boiling hot.
Right.
That's what I need.
Right.
God.
You know what you get. You know what you pay for. In winter it's cold, in summer it's hot, and the rest of the time it's in the middle. It's quite nice. It's kind of like the most prototypical standard seasons possible almost. It's pretty cool.
So that's the video, guys. If you have enjoyed it, please... No.
Oh, okay.
So that's the video, guys. If you have enjoyed...
Okay, all right, and there you have it. That was very, very fun. Definitely for me, as an American, seeing this perspective, and also just hearing about what kinds of things Brits appreciate about America that are different than Britain. There's some comparisons here, differences between British and American culture I never even really knew about. And they also just made me appreciate a lot of stuff about living in the United States that I don't think about, which was really cool, actually. This was by Those Two Brits, and this was very good. I gotta give this a like. That was very enjoyable. And yeah, like I said, it was kind of fun switching it around and hearing just positive stuff that Brits find cool about America, and a lot of stuff I've never even thought about. So I've enjoyed this quite a bit. Anyway, if you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment, perhaps with things you like or love about America. That'd be fun to hear about. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Britain and British culture, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching and see you next time.